Alright guys, what we have here is the Tradition St. Louis Hawken. This I bought off of muzzleloaders.com. 318 bucks, and I think it's like $8 shipping. Really cheap shipping prices. I bought mine as a kit. You know, all in the white. You had to shape the stock, stain or brown the barrel or blue the barrel. I've always wanted a dark gun. Every time I built one, I'd go and sell it. So this one I really wanted as my own. So I took it dark, added just a touch of red with Birchwood Casey Rusty Walnut. Used Laurel Mountain Forge browning solution for the barrel, the rear sight, as well as the lock and hammer. True oil finish that was applied extremely thin. It almost feels like a boiled linseed finish. Real smooth. The brass, believe it or not, the butt plate, the patch box, the trigger guard, nose cap, those were actually brass, and I used Birchwood Casey brass black to antique them, and just I hate brass, so I just wanted to go and knock it out. And I really like the looks of it. I mean, it almost looks like a gunmetal gray. It will wear off over time. When I first did it, you know, I took it dark, and from it being in the gun case, you know, moving around, it wore off. But that's its main purpose, is to wear off where it gets rubbed and stay where it's not getting rubbed. 50 caliber, 28-inch barrel, 1 in 48 twist. I haven't measured the bore on this one yet, but the others that I've had, this would be my sixth or seventh traditions I've had this year. And the traditionals tend to run in the .499, .503 groove. So it does awesome with a 18 to 20 thousandths patch and a 490 round ball. Great gun. Points naturally, you just bring it up, point. The crescent butt plate, believe it or not, is not meant to be shot like your normal everyday shotgun or center fire, where you tuck it in. Try to lift your shoulder up, and you're gonna, just below your shoulder socket, there's a thicker muscle right there, right in here. This is actually meant to be shot like this. If you put it like this, what happens is the tip of that crescent butt plate loves to go and dig in and hit some bone, a collarbone or whatever bone deep inside there. So, you know, when you're as skinny as me, that hurts. That's a great gun though. It's just shot fantastic today. It's only my third time out on the range with it. The other times I shot it 12 times at 50 yards, which, you know, little groups. Overall, I'm pleased with it. I mean, it's a great bargain if you're looking for a muzzleloader build. Easy to build. The hardest part that you may have is you do have to inlet the lock a little bit, and that would be right around this area. You're going to have to take a little bit of sandpaper or even a wood scraping file and just work it gently across here, up into here. And then the trigger guard itself at the bottom needs to be inletted about 1/8 of an inch. You have to remove about 1/8 of an inch this way for it to set in. It'll set right into place once you do that. Or you can remove brass from the front. Either way, you know, you'll know what you have to do when you see it. Solid gun. One of the biggest problems, however, was that it came with plastic sights, drilled and tapped, 2 holes right here. Plastic sights have no business whatsoever being on a hunting rifle. I mean, granted, they were heavy-duty plastic sights. They just have no business. I mean, your gun falls over, they're going to break real easy. Even just bouncing around in your gun case, they could break. I installed a German silver front sight. That's a blade sight. And then I went and ordered a Lyman Great Plains rear sight, which is non-adjustable. Cut my dovetail, but before I cut it, keep in mind the original sight mounted right here, about 2 inches backward of my current sight. What I did was I took it to 100 yards, sighted it on my target, and I put that sight just right here in the factory spot, aimed down my target, and brought it closer. Bringing it closer to my eye made it blurry. I mean, you couldn't really see the rear sight, it was just a blur. So what I did was I'm sighted in on my target, I took that rear sight and slid it forward and forward until it looked just right. I mean, I could see my front sight crisply, I could see the rear sight crisp. Most importantly, I could see that 3-inch bullseye at 100 yards crisp, like I'm aiming at a 50-yard target. So Once you find that perfect spot, just go ahead and mark it, and then you can either have a gunsmith cut your dovetail, or you can do it. And I'd assume you'd let the gunsmith unless you know how to do that. But after that, that was perfect. I finally had a gun that had the perfect sights that I could see. And the gun shoot's fantastic. I got a little more work to do, but other than that, you know, it's a fantastic rifle. And it actually has its first scratch from just being out on the range today. So, however you prefer your finish, do it. I like mine dark and brown.